Hello, YouTube. I will continue my investigation of the fabulous Lake Baikal in Siberia in Russia and its many secrets and mysteries, pointing out the ones especially that pertain to underwater humanoids. You can see my investigation in other videos. Of course, you can read the book, Russia's USO Secrets. I've been doing this for over three decades now. I brought this story to the main attention in the West and other parts of this planet. And of course, I have to always thank Colonel Steinberg of the Soviet Armed Forces, later Russian emigre who lived in New York and who was the person who told us what happened back in 1982, and I've done my investigation ever since. And I corresponded with the colonel when he was alive as well, and with many other people on this quest. So let me tell you today about very interesting islands. The Black Land of Baikal, legends of the Ushkani Islands. Black birds, black snakes, black leopards, black tigers, black foxes, and all other black animals live on those islands. We're talking about the most mysterious archipelago of Lake Baikal. The Ushkani Islands are often called the Baikal Eden, the cleanest air, beautiful views, virgin forest, abundance of the most beautiful fragrant flowers. It has its own unique microclimate and amazing weather conditions. Imagine, on the other shores of the lake, it is already deep autumn or early winter. All vegetation has withered and wilted, covered with deep dense snow, and the archipelago, consisting of 4 islands, is still green. Berries ripen, butterflies fly about, and a solid white blanket falls on the ground only in December. And it would seem what could be scary, strange, mysterious in this paradise, but in fact, the origin and name of the islands, as well as the life on them, are mysterious, difficult to explain, and quite intriguing. The Pomors, those Russian people who formed their own substrata, so to say, and lived and explored and conquered the north of the country. The Pomors of the north called the sea lion Ushkan. History has preserved a number of extraordinary stories. For example, even before our era, Chinese travelers noted that unknown creatures appeared from the waters of the North Sea, as they call the Baikal, where the appearance of one of them was a fish with human limbs and a head, directly referred to as a man-fish. The Buryat folklore has brought to us the legends of the seals, among which there is a legend about a strange man-fish living in the lake, Hun Zagakhan. Its appearance was described as follows. There is a man-fish in the sea. It has a fish-like front half of its body, a human-like back half. When this fish sees a human, it sticks its head out of the water and screams like a human, and then it goes back into the water. There is a legend on the islands that the mother seal speaks with a human voice to hunters and fishermen, and most importantly, the settlement of seals, so to say, on Lake Baikal is exactly the islands that I'm telling you about now. All shades of black. Yeah, there are humanoids in that lake. Very unusual ones. you can follow my research and you will see more. It's not for nothing that President Putin went down into the submersible back in 2008-9, and he also wanted to know what's down below. It's not just because they read my books, they also know this is a very interesting story, and it has not ended, of course. In an ancient legend about the far north sea, Baikal, the author said that in the middle of the sea there is a black country inhabited by black birds, black snakes, black leopards, black tigers, black foxes, and every other black creature. How it resonates with the fantastic, sometimes inexplicable characteristics of the animal and plant world of those incredible islands. There are many absolutely fantastic looking trees on the islands, with bizarrely shaped trunks and leaf shapes. People who come to the islands for the first time cannot help but notice the black trunks of young willows, dark aspens, and larches, which have absolutely no green growth. They also seem black. For example, birch uscania. That birch is warty and fluffy. The warty ones are covered with black bark, and these are trees growing precisely in the northern part of the archipelago. Imagine that the black bark is a kind of case with slightly open edges protecting the sides of the birch from the fierce wind. In addition, this birch has non-standard leaves cut on the sides, very similar to maple. Then there is a Daurian larch, characterized by an incredible bottle-shaped thickening of the trunk. From about 2.5 meters away, these swellings of the powerful bark in the form of longitudinal sinuous ribs expand strongly towards the base, almost doubling the trunk. Note that such a decoration is found only in the oldest and largest specimens. Aspens there also have similar protrusions on the trunk, which are called turnip-like. Everyone who has seen such specimens claims that the landscape is incredible. This aspen, unlike ordinary aspen, has leaves that are not rounded but with a pointed tip. But even more bizarre is the fauna of the islands, where there is still no answer to the question of why most of the representatives of the animal world also have an unusually dark color. Birds, butterflies, snakes, grayling. By the way, even the earth soil is black due to the incredible number of insects climbing out of the water. Of all the islands of Lake Baikal, the Ushkani Islands are the most mysterious, still exciting with their unsolved secrets. This is once more, again, confirmed by the mirage in the archipelago's waters. There's a lot of evidence that the pictures were observed from the Большой Ushkani Island weather station when objects incredibly distant to the ordinary eye suddenly became visible, clearly visible, and even at the same time they seemed to float in the air. For example, the rocky northern contour outline of Olkhon Island with the recognizable Hoboy Rock rose above the horizon and slowly sailed away to the mainland, or columns of red light suddenly appeared over Cape Riti. Now I want to tell you about the legend of the Ushkani Islands. In the old days, Father Baikal lived quietly and peacefully, so even the water did not sway. But one day, out of nowhere, a monstrous storm hit the lake, which Baikal had never encountered before. Terrible bubbles formed on the surface of the lake. Baikal became even higher than before, trying to overflow its shores, spreading over coastal falls and lowlands. The old man of Lake Baikal got angry at the storm and said, "Don't make me angry. You can't cope with the old man. You can't disperse my clean water. You cannot drain my native house." But the terrible storm did not even want to listen to Baikal's words. He still walks and walks along the crests of the waves, which have already risen to the size of the mountain, and says, "You cannot overcome my power and strength. Old man, I raise the seas and oceans. I thrash the taiga. I tear out the 100-year-old forest. I break the rocks. I will splash you like a puddle. I'll dry you like a drop." Upon hearing such insolence, Baikal became enraged. He strengthened his heroic shoulders, remembered his sons and daughters, gained strength, and began to fight the storm. The storm became worried when it saw the power of the old man of Lake Baikal and decided to turn to the Barguzin and Kultuk winds for help. The force of the storm increased, but Baikal showed its acumen. It began to create obstacles for the storm far from the coast. One by one, rocks began to rise from the bottom so high that even blocked the sun. The storm hits the rocks, spends its strength, rolls back, and reaches the shore exhausted. And since then, the rocks have become the guardians of Lake Baikal. Over time, silt and sand were deposited on them, so the size of the rocks gradually increased. They grew and turned into islands. I think the storm description denotes crash of a celestial object into the waters of the lake, or maybe its landing observed by the locals in time immemorial, and those who manned the object are now dwelling in its depths. Those strange humanoids have been telling you for over 30 years. The mystery of the name Ushkani Islands. Well, let's look at it. It's a strange name, mysterious, with a hidden meaning to some. If you take it literally, you immediately start thinking, if you're a Russian person, about someone's years, ushi in Russian, on some mysterious years. According to an old legend, hairs were affectionately called that. But isn't it too easy? If you read my book, Russia's USO Secrets, you will find reference to another mysterious lake, Issyk-Kul in Central Asia, somehow connected through legends with Baikal and more than legends, the year 1982. You will know why. Well, there was an old, very ancient story about a creature with strange ears that lived on the shores of that lake. I'll let you read it. Also, you can see some of my videos about Issyk-Kul. That's what I wanted to let you know today. I will continue to bring more stories of my investigation of Lake Baikal, unusual ones from today's scientific projects, which may be classified in some ways in the lake, to ancient legends and stories and reports. There is something in the waters of that lake, and as the time goes by, I think we'll find out more. Thank you for your attention to my work. If you like my research, please support it through the links you find in the description to this video. Help this quest. I have other investigations too, so I urge you to see my channel. And please like my videos. Please tell others about my work. Thank you.